Overpowered made your last delivery, kid. Sorry you got twisted up in this scene. Truth is, the game was rigged from the start.
Everybody remembers Injustice Superman. The character's so unfair that players got booed for using him.
The crowd booing KDZ right now.
There's even a rumor that NetherRealm made Superman overpowered on purpose to help promote Man of Steel. And if that is the case, then Green Lantern got robbed because this character was godlike too. But sadly, he didn't have an upcoming movie to make him the best in the game. So today, let's discuss Green Lantern, the Forsaken King of NetherRealm Studios. But first, here's a quick word from today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Magic Spoon, which despite the name is actually a delicious cereal and it's very healthy too. Magic Spoon has 0 grams of sugar, 13 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving. And it's also only 140 calories per serving and is keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, and low carb. It's honestly really awesome to be eating cereal again. I always did as a kid growing up, but as you get older, all the sugar that cereal normally has, you always crash immediately after and your whole day is ruined. But thankfully that is not the case with the Magic Spoon. Once again, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, none of that stuff, and it has protein, which gives you energy and also leaves you feeling full. There's also a lot of flavors to choose from as well. My personal favorite is chocolate, but what can I say? I'm a chocolate kind of guy. Any chocolate lovers out there? Are you watching this video? Get yourself some of this cereal. It's delicious. And it's also great for dieting. It's all around healthy, so make sure to click my link down below or use code UNDERDOG at checkout to get $5 off any order. I personally recommend you grab a variety pack and try it out today. Magic Spoon is so confident in their product that they offer 100% refund, so if you try it out and you don't like it for any reason, there's a full refund. So once again, click my link down below or use code UNDERDOG at checkout to get $5 off any product today, because that delicious and healthy cereal is just a few clicks away. Make no mistake, Green Lantern was absurdly good, dangerous at every distance, mix up for days, and some good combo damage. In fact, let's start off with the combos, because everyone loves combos. If Green Lantern had even 1 bar of meter, he could easily hit confirm into combos like this. As you can see, we're already getting over 30%, and the combo isn't difficult despite how lengthy and flashy it is. But once Green Lantern had 2 bars of meter, that's when your life was in jeopardy because the damage got much higher. As you can see, the opponent's almost half dead, and don't get me wrong, there are characters who can also do this much damage, but they're not usually deadly at every distance like Green Lantern was. If Green Lantern was half screen away, any random projectile could lead to a full combo, and the damage was good. And then if he was anywhere closer than that, he could snag you with a random Lantern's Might, because this move has much better range than you would think, and it's also a godlike anti-air, which meant that jumping at Green Lantern was out of the question. If you don't believe me, here's a quick example of what happens when you jump at Green Lantern. Yeah, as you can see, you're half dead, all because you dared to jump a Green Lantern, and even if you couldn't do a complicated combo like that, even a basic combo was still doing around 40% or so. Once again, Green Lantern's damage was up there. This guy is super solid, he's a jack of all trades. Next up, let's discuss his mix-ups, which were arguably way more deadly than his combos were. The first member of this deadly duo is Parallel Nature. For starters, it hits low and has fantastic range, and even so, it's 9 frames on startup, which means it's 100% unreactable. And if that wasn't deadly enough, you can special cancel the second hit to get a combo every time, or even better, you can cancel into the ring and then special cancel that. This gives Green Lantern a damage buff, and a lot of his specials become better as well. And then for the final nail in the coffin, this string is completely safe at -4, so despite being unreactable and a mix-up and leading to full combos, it is still no risk on block. It's 100% safe. So already that's pretty godlike. Next up, let's discuss the partner in crime, Standing Flip Kick, one of the fastest overheads in the entire game. I think Killer Frost might have a faster one, and that's it. According to the game's frame data, this attack is 18 frames on startup, which means it is theoretically reactable, but I don't know about all of you, I'm not reacting to this thing, especially online. Nowadays, many modern fighting games have rollback netcode, and even then, reacting to an 18 frame move is extremely difficult. And now imagine that in Injustice 1, which had terrible lag and certainly no rollback. Yeah, this overhead is an absolute nightmare. And then like most overheads in this game, it is also plus on block, so even if you do react, guess what? It's still Green Lantern's turn. As you can see, these two mix-ups are extremely strong, but what made them godlike was the crazy Green Lantern setups. First up, we have the Lantern Lantern's Might Mix-Up. Essentially, at the end of every combo, Green Lantern could spin a bar, dash under you, and then go for the mix-up. Not only is this mix-up a low overhead guess, but it's also a cross-up, so if you weren't ready for that, you were getting caught every single time for a damaging combo. And once again, I want to emphasize this could be done at the end of a combo, not just the beginning, so check this out. Boom, there's the overhead, and now we start the whole thing over again. But this time, will it be a low? Yes, it was, and if I had one more bar of meter, you would be dead. That's a wrap. However, theoretically, the low is twice as fast as the overhead, so you don't have to react. You could try and fuzzy block it. It's not the best method, but you could try to practice that in training mode and get somewhat consistent. However, the Green Lantern player had an answer for that as well, and it was the jumping 3 cross-up. This thing was extremely tough to block against a good player because he could time it perfectly to barely cross you up at the last second. So even if you were godlike at blocking the cross under overhead low mix-up, you still had to deal with the jumping 3 mix-up, which sometimes crossed up, but not always, depending on the Green Lantern's timing, and as a result was equally tough to block. But next up, we have the Turbine Smash. At first glance, this move is just great for getting in. It hits mid, which means the opponent can't duck under it, and it travels very quickly, so it's great for closing that gap. And on top of that, it could also be done in the air, which was good for catching jumpers, to be sure, but even more so, it was great for flying in over projectiles, getting right in the opponent's face, and then continuing your offense. And that's how a majority of players saw this move, but in the hands of a skilled player, it was also a mix-up, because check this out, fly right behind the opponent, boom, that's an instant cross-up low. I hope you blocked that, because unless you already knew about this mix-up, I highly doubt you blocked it in time. And also keep in mind, it wasn't always a low. The Green Lantern could do this string instead, and now it's an overhead. And yes, that second hit does lead to a full combo. In fact, if you had trade available, you didn't even need meter to start a combo with this thing. So yeah, it's a very deadly overhead, make no mistake. But then we have the dirtiest mix-up of all. As if blocking a low and then a surprise overhead wasn't tough enough, check this out. Yeah, that was a low out of nowhere. It's not a string, it just looks like it because the recovery can be canceled so fast after forward 2 that you think it's a low follow-up, but no, it's just one starting string into a second starting string. So if you saw this first hit and thought the overhead was coming, the Green Lantern player could just say no and go for a low instead. So once again, this mix-up is absolutely dirty. You think you know what's coming, but trust me, you absolutely don't. There is a low option, an overhead option, and a fake overhead into low option. It's all very scary. This guy is a mix-up king. Honestly, the only real way to deal with this mix-up was to do an invincible wake-up attack, but just be warned because he could block that and then punish you for a full combo. And that's about it for the main Green Lantern mix-up. So next up, let's talk about block pressure. Green Lantern had a lot of it. His OA's rocket was absurdly plus on block, and just look at the chip damage. Watch your health bar melt away. If done up close, this move could easily force you to block more mix-ups from Green Lantern, mainly because his back one is so lightning quick and has godlike range. And because the explosion hits mid, no, you can't duck under it, and you also can't jump over it very easily either. So once again, jumping, a bad idea against Green Lantern, even if you're far away, because he could detonate this thing and send you flying towards him. So on top of being plus on block, you also had godlike chip damage, and it was great for controlling space. So jumping over this thing was super risky, and you couldn't duck under the explosion either. But don't worry, Green Lantern had plenty of other ways to be plus on block as well, including rocket power. This move was very plus on block, and it had a very cheeky gimmick that a lot of players didn't know how to beat. When the game first came out, you could easily loop this with his back 1-3 string and then just keep doing it. It was that plus on block, and it didn't have very much pushback. And the best way to beat this gimmick was to attack Green Lantern right away after the string with any move that sent your character flying forward. That way you could avoid the rockets and hopefully get a full combo. However, the scary thing is Green Lantern had ways to counter that option, so if he thought you knew how to beat the rocket power setup, he could just do any other special move and catch you. So yeah, rocket power was really good on block, and it was also good at the end of a long combo because if timed correctly, the opponent would wake up and be forced to deal with the chip damage every single time. And then finally, we have to talk about the minigun. This move was fantastic for controlling space because it stays active for a very long time and has surprisingly good range. And perhaps best of all, you could wait to see if it hit and then spin the bar on the meter burn to get even more damage. 20% might not seem like much, but for a single special move, I'd say that's kinda insane. Because once you had the opponent below 20%, this move would guarantee death if it touched them. And of course, it's equally good on block as well. Look at all that pushback. Even if you don't get hit by this move, Green Lantern has reset the neutral, you're all the way at full screen. And for a character like Sinestro, that's kind of ideal, but for a lot of characters, that's not the case. Oddly enough, the only terrible thing in Green Lantern's kit was his super. It's easily one of the worst in the entire game, its range isn't that great, and it doesn't do very much damage either, which obviously isn't ideal since you are spending 4 bars on this one attack. Because Green Lantern can easily get over 30% with just 1 bar of meter, seeing Green Lantern ever do super on you was a dead giveaway that they did not understand the character. However, even so, I think NetherRealm made his super bad on purpose because otherwise he would be beyond busted. And don't get me wrong, he's already walking the tightrope. He's a very, very strong character. If not for Superman, he probably would have been number 1. Alright everyone, that's about it for Green Lantern. As you can see, his combos are godlike. He is deadly at every distance, and then to top it all off, he has amazing mix-ups as well and great damage on block. Once again, if NetherRealm didn't intentionally make Superman overpowered, I think Green Lantern might have been the best character in the entire game. If you love Green Lantern or simply enjoyed my video, make sure to leave a like down below. And then keep that combo going by subscribing and ringing that bell. That way you never miss a future video. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.